the next question we had was sticky CTAs. And I mean, what's your thought on these, Shiva? I mean,
It depends. I've had a lot of times. So I think like device specifically is one thing that comes to mind that a lot of times people tend to just flip the switch on for mobile because they're like, we want the call to action to always be top of mind. And it's one of those things that like, as us experimenters, we always want to test it. Um, I do think that in my head, we have opportunities to be top of mind with the call to action, but sometimes you're too top of mind. So sometimes you're like, you think about chatbots, like sometimes they're a great opportunity for people who are just struggling to immediately flip the switch and say, I want to talk to someone. Oh, perfect. This widget's been here the whole time. Then there's a flip side of that where it's like, I can't scroll because this GD widget occupies like 30% of the area that I swipe at. So, and it's always popping up and trying to tell me like looking for something. It's like Clippy from from WordArt.
yeah,
Well, like there are users who will find that helpful, and there are users who won't. And that's an
yeah,
example of testing it. And I do think there are opportunities in pages where it does make sense. And just from like a thought process perspective that, oh, this is a long page and we don't want to have buttons in every single panel. So potentially it makes sense. And the it depends can be on the testing side and the it depends could even be on the design side.
yeah, yeah. And you were touching on chatbots and help widgets, and also if you had a fixed header or you had a fixed navigation.
Hmm.
This is really where it gets into the point. And I've seen experiences on mobile where you're really only using 2/3 of your space. So you're having to sort of get people to letterbox scroll because there's a fixed header and then there's a chatbot that gets in the way. And could be a point that a sticky CTA is just reducing the amount of space that you're able to see. And if you ask the question, if it wasn't there, would people know where to find it? If they know on a product page, if it's just making things slightly easier, then yeah, there's a user experience benefit that they don't have to go from a review and then scroll all the way back up. But that could be a back to top link that's just in the page. It could be, like you said, the length of the page makes a big difference. And I've also seen it where people have wanted to put, if it's a B2B or a SaaS site, they've wanted a certain thing like a scheduler demo, but that's not necessarily based on what a user's wanting to do next. So it's like from the business perspective, well, we want a sticky CTA so it's always there.
Yeah.
And that's where it can get in the way of is it a benefit for the user, or are you just trying to force a metric? And then it just has the same effect of banner blindness. So you just kind of go, yep, I'm not going to look at that. I'm not interested. So
Bonus points if you don't QA having don't QA the Z index. So you'll have a live chat on top of a sticky button, on top of your menu, on top of a survey that's popping up.
yeah, yeah, it can get super, super messy. So
Totally.
one of the things I was thinking about is, what's the risk? As a flip side, if you're wanting to run a test on a product page, is that the most important test to run next instead of something else? Because I'm always thinking of the challenge back, like, sounds like a good idea, but is there anything else? Is there anything that's better? And yeah, sometimes we can get sort of devoid of, okay, well, let's test that because it's a thing worth testing. But, if it's taking up bandwidth in your roadmap, you maybe have to go, is it going to change really if somebody wanted to buy it? Were they not going to buy it because they had to scroll a little bit higher to go to the CTA, instead of fixing another area which has had a bigger importance? And that's where scoring a hypothesis can be quite good, because it might be a nice idea, but it maybe not be fixing a huge problem for people.
I love that call out and to build on that. It's not, I think a lot of times people with what we do as CRO, even though it's experimentation, but let's just say for intents and purposes of CRO, they'll focus on getting that conversion as quickly as possible and prioritize tests to get that conversion as quickly as possible, rather than focusing on engaging users as much as possible so that the conversion happens. And it's like you can tweak button colors all you want, but you're going to have much better ROI if you spend a lot more time getting people to want to click that button rather than button colors and drawing more attention and making it jiggle and having arrows point to it. Like if they're not interested, they're not interested. They're not going to click the button no matter how many arrows you put on it.